Welcome back, everyone, to another episode of the Popcorn Podcast, and I'm your host, Tommy Cresta. And there will be no Ryan with me, as this is the third annual Halloween Countdown episode, one of my favorite episodes to do on the show. And yeah, so in this episode, we will be doing the Halloween franchise ranked, which, if you're a longtime listener of this show, you know how much I truly adore Michael Myers and the whole Halloween franchise, even though I know that some of the films in this franchise are absolutely terrible, and I still think that is such a fun franchise to watch. And I really got to remember how bad and terrible some of the films in this franchise truly are. But I also had a newfound appreciation for some of the other films in this franchise, which I'll talk about more when we get to each one of those films. But the way I did the rankings of this is that I went back through and I watched all 13 films, and I took my original score of what I gave it before the rewatch and what I thought I gave it, and then I went back through and I changed my score of that, and I did a letterbox list of it. So if you want to check out my letterbox listing of it, you can go on the letterbox, but I'm going to go break it down anyway. So if you don't want to see my letterbox score, just stay and listen to the whole episode. But before we get into that, I just want to take a quick second to thank Snack Crate for sponsoring this episode. If you would like to order your own Snack Crate box, go to snackcrate.com and use our discount code POPCORN for 50% off and free shipping at snackcrate.com. Again, use our discount code POPCORN at snackcrate.com for 50% off and free shipping on your first crate. Thank you to Snack Crate for sponsoring this episode and the Popcorn Podcast. Now, before I did the rewatch, this was my ranking. Again, before the rewatch. So was before I started anything. I didn't know what I was going to feel. So coming at 13, I had Halloween Ends, which I gave an 8%. At number 12, I had Rob Zombie's second Halloween, which I gave a 22. Halloween Resurrection at a 30. Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers at a 30. So they were tied. 10 and 11 could have switched. Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers at a 40. Season of the Witch at 8, at a 48. Halloween 7, which was Rob Zombie, at 50. Halloween Kills was number 6 with a 55. Halloween 4, The Return of Michael Myers, at a 62. Halloween 2 at a 75. H2O at a 78. Number 2, Halloween 2018 at 85. And then Halloween 1, 1978, 95. So that's why I came in before I rewatched all the films. And of course, the films are not going to be ranked out of 100 now because I did them on Letterboxd. Just because it was easier for me to be able to go on, write a quick review. It was easier to do for the podcast and make it easier to keep it in line with everything. And so you guys could check out while I was doing the rankings and keep up to date with what I was doing. And coming in last place was, of course, Rob Zombie's Halloween 2. Not Rob Zombie's Halloween 1, which I actually enjoyed more than I thought. But Rob Zombie's Halloween 2 was truly one of the worst movies I have ever seen. This is not a Michael Myers movie. This is a truly terrible film. I give it a half star. I think I would give it under a 10. I absolutely hated this movie. I think when I gave it, I actually gave it a 12. So I didn't give it under 10. But my review is that Rob Zombie, I need to know what was the plan here. I don't even think he had one because this movie is absolutely terrible. I just don't understand what the choice of writing here was. The decision in the beginning to have 6-year-olds talking about taking advantage of a dead body of an underage girl, to the unnecessary nudity and brute force violence in this movie. The decision to have Michael not even wear the mask for half the movie. And I really like Tyler Mane as the shape in these movies. I think the decision to make Michael this total brute was something I didn't like before the rewatch. I actually enjoyed this time around. I liked Michael being huge and all that. It's a different take on the character that I liked more this time around. But what I didn't like was in the second one, Michael makes like noises throughout the movie. He makes like grunting noises and all that, which I didn't like. I've always liked the idea of Michael just breathing, and that's what you hear. But there's something about. Oh, sorry about that. My laptop gave me a notification. Um, there's just something about the idea of Michael grunting and all those different other noises that I just didn't like. And the whole storyline with Lori and being his sister again, it just didn't work. And the idea that they were going to make a third one with the directors from My Bloody Valentine and it was going to be called Rob Zombie's Halloween in 3D. I'm so thankful that they were like, this movie's terrible. It didn't make money. Pe- People hated it, and it never ever came to light. Made me so happy. I mean, this ended the Halloween franchise for almost a decade. No Halloween came out until 2018, and it shows you why. Because this movie is awful. This is the worst movie that comes out of this franchise, and to me, it's not even close. I I realize how bad the next couple are that I'm going to talk about on this list, but to me, this is by far the worst one. The decision that Michael's like trying to do this for his mother and to see her again, all of that storyline does not make any sense, Rob Zombie. I Deborah Zombie, you are trying your absolute best with what your husband wrote here. It's a terrible script. It's a terrible story. Every aspect of this movie just does not work. The cinematography is terrible. The editing's awful. Every aspect of this movie is bad. The I know you had to recast the kid who plays young Michael, but he's the brightest spot of the first movie, and the kid who plays him in this one just isn't as good. And it's not the kid's fault again, it's the writing. And this movie just doesn't work. It's just like bad, 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 bad film. And I'm not the only one that thinks that. There's a reason this film has the reviews it does. And yeah, Halloween 2 by Rob Zombie is an absolute dumpster fire of a film, and I am so happy they never made the third one, and I don't think they ever should have made the second one. It should have ended after the first one. Should have taken the wins that he had with a movie that wasn't that great in the first place, but it had some wins in there, and they should have just ended it there because the second one was terrible, and it should have never gotten made. Now, coming in at number 12, we have Halloween 6, The Curse of Michael Myers. Even though it's not called Halloween 6, it's just called Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. This was directed by Joe Chappelle. I gave this movie also half a star. This is also an absolute dumpster fire of a film. I don't know what they were trying to do here, but the fact that they brought Donald Pleasance out to do this movie, they should have been put in prison for this. These are actual questions that came across my mind when I was watching this film. Paul Rudd's in this. I don't know. This ended up being his first film, I learned. Why is Michael's blood green? Where's the Halloween score? Because they don't use the Halloween theme for most of this movie. They end up using hardcore rock when Michael's killing instead of the actual Halloween score. And the ending is so weird because Loomis goes in back into the hospital to find Michael, but instead of seeing them meet up again, because I don't think they interact in this entire movie, him and Loomis. Michael and Loomis. It ends up Loomis just makes some weird scream, crying, moaning noise, and that's it. You just hear it, and then it cuts to black. And then it cuts. No, it doesn't cut back. It cuts back to where Loomis would have seen Michael, and Michael's quote unquote dead body was. And Michael doesn't even take the mask with it. It's just the Michael Myers mask is there. This movie has some of the worst characters ever. And the people that casted this movie, I don't know what script and what casting director they hired, but you should have never been allowed to be a casting director ever again. These people could not act. And again, I know it's probably not fully on the actors because Paul Rudd's a very talented actor. He was not good in this. But it also seemed like it was kind of Paul Rudd's fault because it seems like he's trying to be so serious and so mysterious with the character that it just seems like he's overacting for it. When Donald Pleasance actually gives a good performance in this, and he's good as Loomis in this movie. He's never bad in this, and there's no scenes where he feels wrong in this. Unlike another movie where I'm going to talk about Donald Pleasance's performance. But Halloween 6 just has so many issues with the scores, with the writing, the editing, which you're going to hear me talk about the editing a lot with Halloween 6 and 5. It's so quick cut. Kind of what me and Ryan talk about with Alien Earth a lot is that the violence is so cut up that you don't even know who's dying most of the time because it's so quick cut left and right, up, down. It's so weirdly cut up, and it doesn't look right. It's like that they messed up the filming. That they're like, oh, if we cut so fast, they won't even know that we messed it up. It's bad, and it's really hard to watch at certain moments. Yeah, the whole storyline though, and Michael's mask looks really weird. He has really big ears with this mask, and I learned while watching this that there was a lot of problems with each movie about getting the mask made, and each director was trying to argue about they didn't want to watch the movies because they knew the movie, they knew the mask. They're like, oh, I know what Michael Myers' mask looks like. I don't have to rewatch Halloween. I know the mask. It's the most iconic thing ever. Yet half of you didn't make the mask look anything like the first movie. Halloween 6 at least attempted to look like the first mask, but they made the ears really big. So I will give them credit that the mask attempted to look original to the first movie, but the actor was also a little overweight, you could tell, so he didn't look right in the suit. So there was like things that are messed up, but they at least attempted to be like the first movie. But the house didn't look like Michael's house. And they try and say it is. The staircase is like spiraled a little bit, so you know it's not. This movie has so many issues, but like it's kind of the Jaws the revenge of the franchise. He's going after his great great nephew in this movie. Like the fact that Michael would even care at this point is so weird. And because what's this one at this point? He's going. It's the Curse of Thorn. The whole storyline gets so confusing at this point when it starts going into curses, and the Halloween 6 is just a mess of a movie. If you guys haven't watched this far into the franchise, like if you've only seen the main movies of Halloween, I really do recommend going down the rabbit hole of Halloween and seeing what it is, because it really is interesting to see what, like when they got done Halloween 2, and John Carpenter was like, okay, I'm not going to be part of this franchise anymore. Oh no, because he did Season of the Witch still. He did help write the script and produce it. So he got done Halloween Season of the Witch, and he was like, okay, I'm not going to help anymore. He probably saw Halloween 6 and was like, what the hell happened with my franchise that we got to this point? Um, yeah, so it's a little insane. And yeah, it's so weird to see how this franchise goes from such a simple first two movies. Even Season of the Witch is a crazier story, but that's so different, and I'll get to Season of the Witch when we talk about it. But the first two are so simple to the way that 6 is just a crazy turn of events. And I think that's just such a big problem. And you see that I'm talking so much about these first two because I think the bad movies make me so much more annoyed. And yeah, so I'm sorry that I'm going down such a rabbit hole about these movies, but I need to share my thoughts. Coming in at number 11, we have Halloween 5, The Revenge of Michael Myers. If you guys don't remember, I did talk about this in my last Tommy's Corner, but my scores changed. I think I gave it 2 stars, maybe 2.5, but I gave it 1.5 this time. And I said, I'm saying that coming off the success of Halloween 4, you would think that, well, coming off the audience and financial success of Halloween 4, you would think that they would take their time and continue the story of Halloween 4 and maybe keep the same director around. No, we don't try that at all. Um, they go, no, we're not trying this at all. We're not going to kill off Donald Pleasance like he specifically asked to happen in Halloween 5 because he hated Halloween 5. Donald Pleasance has talked about this, that he had gotten in fights with the director, that he didn't like the way that his character was written in Halloween 5, which if you watch the film, it makes so much sense because me and Sam, when we watched it, just completely realized that Donald Pleasance is written like a villain almost in this movie. The whole idea that Jamie can't speak anymore is a weird storyline to go, especially with the great twist that she kind of is evil at the end of Halloween 4, which Halloween 4 has really great moments in it. So when we get to that, I really like Halloween 4. Halloween 5, on the other hand, is a terrible, terrible movie. Loomis plays like an asshole in this one. It's just such a drastic change for the character that I understand why Donald Pleasance, someone who loves his character so much, and he's been in literally, he shows up in 6 movies for you, and you don't, no, 5 movies, and you then change his character just all of a sudden. It's just a weird decision by the director. So then he just changed up the whole character at this point. At this point, he'd been in 3 movies, so he just changed up the character, and it made sense why Donald Pleasance made such a problem on set with him. They almost got in physical altercations over this. And it was a whole problem for the whole film. And this film is bad. The mask looks even worse. He has like a receding hairline. The neck's extra long in this one. It's a very noticeable difference from the Halloween 4 mask. And I know people have a problem with Halloween 4's mask. I actually like the Halloween 4 mask. It's always been something that I feel like is a hot take of mine. I genuinely like The Mask. I don't think it's great, but I think it's better than most of the franchise. I think the little girl Jamie, I think she becomes so much more annoying in Halloween 5. And they kill off her cousin or her stepsister. And I didn't even realize they killed her off for the second half of the movie. I was so confused on where she had went because she gets stabbed in the shoulder, and I was like, "Oh, she's fine," and then she just doesn't show up again. And yeah, Michael disappears at the end when he collapses in. Oh wait, is that how he dies? I'm not glad I don't remember how he dies now. But yeah, this movie is hated so much that it ended up killing Michael, and he disappears for 6 years and shows up with. He disappears, and this kills the franchise for 6 years until he returns with his big old ears in Halloween 6, as we just talked about in the next film for the Curse of Michael Myers. I think Halloween 5's biggest issues, though, rely on the fact that they wanted to pump it right back out after the success of 4 because they were coming off of people hating Season of the Witch with that because of the anthology, and then 4 did so well, and they're like, oh, we have to ride the success of this now. And then they pumped out 5. 5 was just terrible, and they're like, oh, we messed up. And then they decided to go with 6, and 6 just bombed again, and then it just didn't work. And 6 also didn't have great luck running up against 7 at the weekend box office when it first came out. And I think Halloween's it just has, they just assume because it's Halloween, it's going to be good and people are just going to like it. People want good movies out of this franchise. They're not just going to accept because Michael Myers, they're going to watch it. People want it to be good, and that's what matters to them. That's what matters to me. And I think that they overlook that a lot. And that's a big problem for me, and I think a lot of the fans of this franchise. Moving on to 10th place in this franchise, I have Halloween Ends, a movie that I almost got up and left when I saw this in theaters, and a movie that took me 3 days to watch when I watched it at home for this rewatch. And the reason it took me so long, and it jumped up my list. It was in last place before the rewatch, and it jumped up 4 total spots. And I think why it took me so long is because I had already watched 12 movies in this franchise, and it was just a lot of bad movies I had watched in a row going into this point. But I will say, this movie is better than I had remembered it being. That does not mean it's good, by any means. This movie has so many issues that I have written down. I ended up pulling a paper to write some notes. Some of the notes I wrote that the first act of this movie is very good. I said Jude Courtney is a very good shape. I still think that Nick Castle is the best shape. I know a lot of people think that James Jude Courtney is. I think he's a little too tall. That's just my little opinion. I like the way that Nick Castle moves, but that's just because I think I love the first movie so much. I think the opening of this movie is really cool, and I think the title card's really cool with the pumpkins just opening up. I think it's a pretty cool nod to Season of the Witch. Rowan Campbell and Andy Mitchkak have really good chemistry in the first act, and I really like their characters. And I think Andy she does great in this trilogy. Her character just becomes more and more frustrating in each movie, and I think they kind of ruin her when she could have been a great setup to take over with them kind of sidelining Jamie Lee Curtis, which was also a terrible mistake by David Gordon Green with the direction of this franchise. But then you have the stupid decisions to make the band nerds, the bullies. That was so stupid. First off, those band nerds would have gotten pummeled by Rowan Campbell. Rowan Campbell seems like he could beat them up. I always thought this scene with Laurie's neighbors, the one in Halloween Kills who gets stabbed with the fluorescent light, was so weird when she sees him at the grocery store and her sister blames her for it. I always thought it was weird that they blame Laurie for messing with Michael. Michael came out and attacked Laurie and her friends. I never understood why Laurie gets blamed for what Michael did. She didn't tell Michael to come out. It was just a scene that I've never understood. I still don't understand. And the idea that there's a time jump that Michael has been living in the sewer for 4 years is so terrible. No one has noticed there's people going missing down by this sewer drain, and they haven't sent people in to look into this tiny little sewer area. These cops in Haddonfield are terrible. Continuing with Halloween Ends, The second act is just it's probably the worst part of the movie, I think. I said why the one cop that follows the cop who was interested in oh, what's her name? It's the actress Andy, it's her character. Oh, I forget what her Corey. No, Corey's the one who he's the boy. Oh, what's her name? I don't remember. But it's Corey gets the cop to follow him into the sewer. Just call for backup. And then he doesn't call for the dead hobo that he finds before he chases Corey into the sewer. And I said for the idea for this film is there. The idea that David Gordon Green and Danny McBride wanted is that society can create a villain and can create a monster. I understand that. But again, that's not what people want when it's Halloween ends. And you keep saying the epic conclusion to this great story between evil and good, between Michael Myers and Laurie Strode. That you have the first movie by John Carpenter, an all time classic. Then you have 2018's Halloween, which is held as one of the greatest sequels and probably the best requel, in my opinion, ever, and a movie that I love that I think's in probably my top 100 films of all time, just because how much I adore that movie. I'm not saying that it's one of the top 100 movies of all time. It's one of my top 100 favorite movies of all time. And then you have Halloween Kills, which I don't love, but I understand why people do. But then you have this, and it's just so different from those last two, and it feels so much different. And it doesn't. I just don't understand why this is the story they went with. But there is that story is there. It's played off as this epic conclusion, and Jamie Lee Curtis takes such a sideline in this story. But like they go for this idea of trauma, and I get that, but it's not what we cared about. But I will say, the scene where Michael kills that nurse, the head nurse, very satisfying because it's like the iconic stabbing her into the wall, tilting the head, very cool. But that whole scene where Michael and Corey team up is so weird because I just don't like the idea of Michael having a teammate because Michael doesn't care. Michael would not do that. And I will say though, the mask looks off to me in Halloween Ends. I know there's a time jump and he got burned and all that, but it looks good in Halloween Kills. It just looks a little off in Ends, and maybe it's just the way it's supposed to look with the time jump. I don't like the idea that the killing and everything heals Michael and it heals Corey. I even wrote in my notes, I said, God, how do I still have 45 minutes left in this film? Um, Corey's fall into darkness for me just does not work. But then I didn't like that Corey even can beat up Michael. Like, Michael would have, I feel like, destroyed Corey, even at this point. And then at the end of the day, it feels like even when they do finally get the final confrontation between Laurie and Michael, Laurie doesn't get. It's not like the ending I feel like she deserves. I wanted so much more for Laurie. I would have liked like a whole movie of her getting away from Michael. Like I feel like 2018's would have been such a better way to end it. Just one movie, their final conclusion that ends it, and she gets away. But like the idea that she kills off her daughter and everything, I don't know. I feel like this franchise has the moments, like the ups, and I'm like, wow, that's a good send off, and then it kind of stabs itself in the back almost and ruins everything. So I again, the Halloween franchise, yeah, stabs itself in the back with something I feel like was really, really good, and it just doesn't work again. Halloween Ends, star and a half, coming in 10th place. Coming in ninth place. We're inside the top 10 now. And this is a movie that I feel like most people have at the bottom of their list, but I've always had a soft spot for this movie. And this is coming in at 2 stars, and this is Halloween Resurrection. I know that this film is bad, but again, I have a little bit of a soft spot for this movie. It has a terrible cast and a terrible mask. And the idea that the franchise's story, first retcon of the story, ends with Busta Rhymes fighting Michael Myers in hand-to-hand combat and then giving a terrible speech on the world and violence does make me cringe. there is some parts of this movie that I do like. I do like the creative kills and all of that. But something I realized when I was watching these movies is that the directors that made the Halloween movies in the 90s, what was the what was wrong with all of you that every female character had to be a bimbo? Like what why did you always find the need to make them sexualized? You made them stupid. You found the need to always put the camera in inappropriate places. Like it was, you were always perverts. You were weird. Like every time they're written so weirdly. Me and Sam talked about this that it wasn't like you push back like that. Like women were already viewed wrong in the 90s, but you just pushed that idea even further forward, putting it in mainstream media even more. And I think that it was just wrong. But I feel like horror has done such a great job recently of like empowering female characters. And the first Halloween did so well. Like Scream Queens have done so well, especially in the early era of film, of horror especially. And then the 90s Halloween movies do it so terribly. Like every character in these movies it's female characters. The male characters are they treat the women terribly and the women are still like, "Okay," and let the guys treat them like shit. And I just don't understand. I don't understand why they wrote them this way. And it was making me genuinely mad, especially in Resurrection. And it was something I needed to get off my chest about this movie specifically. Um, I'm pretty sure this is the director though of Halloween 2, which was weird that he came back for Resurrection, and he was definitely the wrong choice to direct this movie. And I kind of wish they went with the original idea to do a sequel to H2O, where it's Josh Hartnett and he is on a revenge thing against Michael, where he is trying to revenge his mother. Because this movie does open up with Jamie Lee Curtis dying, and she did not want to be part of this movie. She called this movie one of the worst movies of all time. It was laughable how bad it was. And they actually, if you look at the poster, they use the exact same picture of her from Halloween H2O because she has short hair. And if you watch the movie, she doesn't have short hair in the movie. She has long hair. And yeah, she thinks this movie's terrible, and she only did it because they wouldn't make H2O unless she signed on for 2 movies. Because she really likes Halloween H2O, and I think a lot of people do because it's a really enjoyable film. Resurrection is not that. This is another definition of a cash grab, and yeah, Halloween H2O. I mean Halloween Resurrection, terrible movie with over sexualized female characters that are again so poorly written that I think it's just a terrible movie, and it's one of the worst masks. And we'll get to the worst mask when we get to it, but it just proves again that the 90s were just a terrible time for writing. Coming in the number, sorry, let's count 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8. In the 8th spot, we have probably the first one I actually would say I enjoyed. And this is Rob Zombie's Halloween, which I gave 2.5 stars. And maybe it's me. I said I do not like the cast of this film. I think everyone except Tyler Mane and the kid who plays young Michael. So Michael Myers, I do like in this movie, but I do not like the Loomis in this movie. I cannot stand him, and I think he's even worse in the second one. This is not the uh, actor's fault. I think it's how he's written, and the decision making for the second one's even worse. It's just a weird way to write him that he's just like an asshole the whole time. Yeah, the only two redeeming characters are Tyler Mane and the young Michael. Um, I said this is probably Rob Zombie's second best movie. A director that I have said numerous times on the podcast I don't think is a very good director. I don't agree with the way he directs. I don't like his vision. I don't like the way everything he directs looks grimy, has a weird look to everything, has that yellowish tint to it. Just kind of like how Zack Snyder has that bluish tint to everything. It just everything looks dirty in his movies. And I'm just not a fan of that. But again, it's just not my cup of tea. It could be yours. It could be someone else's. But it doesn't mean it's bad. It's just not what I like. But I said this is probably his second best movie behind The Devil's Rejects, which, again, in my opinion, is his best movie. I may not like it, but I will give credit where credit is due. Now, does not mean I'm not going to rip on parts where I think this movie is not good. I think the third act of Rob Zombie's Halloween is terrible. I think it's boring, it's dragged out, And I don't think that the changes he makes from the original Halloween work in any capacity. I think decisions with the pool, the whole way she hides in the ceiling, and everything like that just does not work. The way that Loomis gets involved, and then the decision for them to get in the car, and the way that they use the Boogeyman line, it all just did not work for me. It's not scary. There's no good scares. It just doesn't work. The best part of the Rob Zombie Halloween movie is the first 35 minutes, which are great, by the way. Rob Zombie, the beginning of this movie is phenomenal. I forgot how great young Michael is in the beginning of this movie. And even the second act's really good. I think it goes from a 4 star to probably 3 to 1.5. That's how bad I think the third act is for this movie. But I think that first act and a half are phenomenal. And I want to give all the credit where credit is due. It's well written, it's well edited, everything's great about the first act. And my mom, who does not watch Rob Zombie movies, she's not in the blood and gore or anything like that. She loves the opening to this movie. She loves young Michael. She loves psychology, so she's all into it. And I think that's just a great beginning to a movie. I'm just not into the rest of the movie. And I think that's just the casting that you put around it. I just don't think the characters are likable enough for me to care what happened to them. And I just don't think Michael's I don't like the idea of Michael caring so much about his sister and like wanting her to like love him and all. It just didn't work for me. But again, that's my opinion. Other people could think this movie is a masterpiece. That's why I'm not saying that I'm right and you're wrong. It's just what I think. So in my conclusion, Rob Zombie's Halloween, I think is not a good Halloween like Michael Myers film, but in its own right, I think it's a good movie. It's a good movie. It's an average film, but just for me, it's not good in the Halloween franchise. That's why I have it closer to the bottom of the franchise. But it's not a bad. It's not bad by any means. And yeah, I liked it way more than I think I thought I did. I think I liked it more than I did the last time, right? Uh, did I? What did I have last time? Rob Zombie? Trying to find out where I scored it last time. Yeah, I gave it. I raised my score almost 10 points from the last time I watched it. So I definitely enjoyed it more than I did the time before. Now going to the next film on our list. We have. I keep losing track of where we are. 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7th place. We're halfway through the list, and this is Halloween Kills, a movie that I watched because this was at the height of COVID still, I think, right? I watched this on Peacock when it came out. I gave this movie 2.5 stars as well. I think it's truly one of my favorite opening acts in the entire franchise, and maybe in horror in total. I think that when it flashes back to the 80s, I think that filmmaking by David Gordon Green is perfect. It is amazing. The guy that they get to play, because I don't think if it's James Jude Courtney, the way that they edited it to make him look younger and more like Michael, the guy who played him in Halloween 2 and like Nick Castle, is insane because it looks just like him. And the mask they use looks more like it. It's awesome. I just think the whole opening is fantastic. Halloween Kills. It's the guy they got for Loomis, which was I'm pretty sure they said was like a PA or someone that was just on the set. Like he was just a crew member that they were like, "Wow, you look like Loomis. We could actually use you." And it's just amazing that they were able to do that. Now, I think the rest of this movie is god awful. I hate Halloween Kills besides the beginning of this movie. I have always been one of the people that cannot stand Halloween Kills. I do not like slasher films like this, where it's just blunt force trauma from beginning to end. Now, the first act of Halloween Kills is very interesting because it's cool seeing Michael, but once he comes into the fights the firefighters, first off, if you're a firefighter, if anyone that listens to this show is a firefighter, please let me know what you would have done in this situation. Would you have tried to fight Michael Myers, or would you have ran away? Because if I'm a volunteer firefighter, and Michael Myers just walked out of a burning building and killed a couple firefighters, I'm probably running away because I don't see the point. I don't have guns. I don't have fighting experience. Why am I trying to take the guy on that just walked out of a burning building? Perfectly fine. I don't like this movie. I think it's terrible, but it gets 2.5 stars because I think it has one of the best openings in horror franchise history. And I think it's the best opening in this franchise, right? I'm trying to look. I mean, Halloween's opening is pretty great. Rob Zombie's Halloween's opening is pretty great. Yeah, I just think it's the best opening. It's so great. This first act's really good in this movie, but the opening is when it goes back to it looks so. It looks like they filmed it before, and then they were like, "Oh, we have all this extra footage that I found from like the lead scenes that we can use now." It's just so good, and I love it. And I've always, but like the horror dies tonight stuff is so bad. Thomas C. Hall, he's trying his best, but he's overacting. It's so terrible. And the scene, like Michael turns into John Wick in this movie. Like when he kicks the girl's gun when she's shooting at him and shoots herself, it is one of the worst scenes. Oh my god, I hate this movie. It's so bad. Little John and Big John, first off, very funny. But it is so stupid. I do not care. I don't care for half of this movie. I hate every second of this movie besides the beginning. Oh, but that opening, it's so weird how good the beginning is and the rest of the movie is just so terrible. So, yeah. Halloween Kills in 7th place. Moving into 6th place. So from 6th place in, I actually like these movies. These are movies from beginning to end I actually enjoy. And I know people are not going to like this, but in 6th place, I have Season of the Witch, a movie I have not seen from beginning to end ever. So this was the first time I've watched it. And I liked it. I really liked Season of the Witch. And it could have actually probably went from 6th all the way up to 3rd, probably. It was that close between the rest of them. No, probably 6th to 4th. Because 3, 2, and 1 were pretty much set in stone. But the next 3 are very close to like being switched. But I really like Season of the Witch. I think it's a really cool concept. I agree with John Carpenter. I think that after Halloween 2, maybe even just after Halloween 1, I think it should have been an anthology story. There was no point to continue the Michael Myers story. And you see why. Halloween 5 and 6 are terrible. They got very lucky with how well Halloween 4 turned out. And Halloween 4 is not a great movie by any means. It just was better well received than 5 and 6 are. 5 and 6 are, I mean, terrible movies. Like, probably in the worst 200 movies of all time. Bad. And I don't, if you guys haven't seen Halloween 5 and 6, please go watch them. They are, some of the worst movies ever made. But Halloween Season of the Witch is a really, really good movie. It's meta, it's ahead of its time. I think Season of the Witch, if people went back and watched it now, knowing that it's anthology, people would really like it. And it is starting to get more and more, of a cult following because now people know. And I think people would watch it. I'm trying to convince my dad to watch it because I think he would actually really like it now. It's a weird movie. But it's way better than I think people give it credit for because everyone just wanted to see Michael Myers again. But I really like it. I think Season of the Witch is a really fun time, and I think more people just need to know ahead of time that he's just not in it. It's not supposed to be Michael Myers. It's supposed to be an anthology franchise that they were trying to go for. And Michael Myers technically is in it twice. No, once. He's technically in it once. It's in a TV trailer, but he's technically in it. It's set in our world, watching a trailer for the Michael Myers for Halloween, the movie. It's weird. It's so cool though. I love this movie. I think it's really fun. I think it's a cool twist into the meta universe. And this movie is ahead of its time. 1982. Season of the Witch is so good. More people need to watch this movie. Go watch. So if you haven't seen Season of the Witch, go watch it. It's a really good fall movie. I think it's really good for the Halloween season. Next on our list is Halloween 4, movie I was just talking about. Dwight H. Little directed this one. I give this movie 3 stars. I really like Halloween 4, and if you've heard me and my brother talk about this, or if you've heard me talk about it, my brother says that this movie caused his night terrors, and he blames me for his night terrors because I was watching this in my basement when I was little, and I did not realize my 4 or 5-year-old brother was downstairs. And the scene where he snatches Jamie Lloyd in like the nightmare she has, my brother was down there, and he's been terrified of Michael Myers, and because that's how our room looked at the time, so he's been terrified of Michael ever since. But I think this movie's really good. I think it's way better than people like to give it credit for. I said I know The Mask isn't great, but I think it's better than 5, 6, Resurrection, and both of the Rob Zombie films. I've never been one of those people that's loved the Rob Zombie mask. I know a lot of people do, but I do not agree. I think Loomis is still fantastic in this movie. You do realize that losing Jamie Lee Curtis is what really kills this franchise in these movies 4, 5, and 6. But Jamie Lloyd is a fantastic child actress. And I love that she does come back in the Rob Zombie movies. And if you didn't notice that, she does. She comes back as Annie, and she's really good as Annie. It's probably two of the highlights of those movies. Well, the highlight of those movies. I just clicked off my review. I love the twist at the end. As I said, Jamie Lloyd ends up kind of being bad. Is that she has a little bit of Michael in her. And I think the movie's just real. I think it's a good horror movie. I think it's a good Michael Myers movie. I think it's a good Halloween movie. The way that the shape moves feels like Michael. And the whole idea, the concept, it all works for me. Loomis is really good in it. I think it's a little over the top at certain moments, hence why it's got 3 stars and not any higher. But again, it's not a bad movie by any means. I think it's above what most people like to give it credit for. But I really like Halloween 4, and I think more people need to watch it because I think most people kind of give up after the first two, but I think more people need to watch it, and that's my take on that. Moving on to our final, what is this? Our final 4. In 4th place, we have Halloween 2. I said I watched this film as a 6-year-old boy by myself on Halloween, and it terrified me. All these years later, and it still scares me. I love Halloween 2, but again, the idea that hospitals are empty. Please God, someone fix this. They are not empty. It doesn't matter what time of day. Hospitals, yes, there's less people in hospitals at night, in at 2 in the morning, 3 in the morning. But there's not 5 people in hospitals like there is in Halloween 2. There's a plenty of people in there. And I get in Rob Zombies, it's a nightmare. But God, Halloween 2. Come on now. There's not that many, not that small of a number of workers in there. And it's a trope that they need to stop doing in movies. But with all that said and done, I think Halloween 2 is, again, a great horror movie, a great slasher movie in total. It scares me. I think the way that they film this movie, I think the way that the shape moves in this movie, it all just works really well. I think they kind of build upon the franchise and like do some more world building. I don't love the idea of her being his sister. It was never something I liked. So I did like in the 2018 trilogy where they get rid of that idea. So I keep saying I do have always liked the hospital, like the setting of the hospital, because I think it's so scary. Because a place that should feel safe isn't, and the shape, the way Michael moves in this movie is so creepy. I mean, he always is creepy, but there's something about the hospital, the sound that you can hear, the footsteps. I've always really liked this movie, and I will always continue to have a soft spot for it. I give it 3.5 stars, and that moves into our top 3 spots for the Halloween franchise. And the first one that we're going to be talking about in 3rd place is Halloween H2O. Halloween H2O, I love watching horror movies in total because I think it's so cool seeing actors in early roles because it tends to be where many actors and directors, writers can make their start in the industry, and especially in H2O, it's Michelle Williams, Josh Hartnett, LL Cool J, and Joseph Gordon-Levitt, if you didn't know, are all in this movie. And I really enjoy this movie. I think it definitely has major flaws, but seeing Jamie Lee Curtis come back to the movie and knowing how much she enjoyed filming this movie, how much she enjoyed being in this movie, she wanted to be a part of it. She was part of them actually pitching the movie. Like she was part of the writers' rooms for it and everything. She loved every second of it. Now, the biggest issue with this movie, The Mask. Jesus, what were they trying to do with this? Steve Miner. Even though I will give you credit, you didn't write the women characters as bad in this one. You did a good job with that. However, he said that if you can look it up, the Miner mask. he said he's like, oh, he is a massive Halloween fan. He's like, oh, I know The Mask. I don't need to watch the movies again. I know what it looks like. And Jamie Lee Curtis even laughed when she saw them. She's like, that's not Michael. She's like, that's not what the Michael Myers looks like. And he's like, no, it is. And they filmed half the movie, showed the producer, and they're like, you can't use that mask. And then they got a different one, which still isn't very good because it kind of makes Michael Myers look like a meth head. And he's really thin in this movie, which is another problem. But, you know, can't have everything in a Halloween movie, especially these later ones at this point. You either have a better movie, bad mask, or better mask and bad movie. So I'll take what I could get with H2O. I think it's one of the best ones in this movie, and but I do still think it's one of the better entries, as I said, in this franchise at number 3. And at this point in time in 1998, this franchise was in deep need of a win, as they had probably not had a win since I don't remember when Halloween 4 came out. They probably hadn't had a win in 10 years since Halloween 4, which I think is 88. Yeah, 88. So yeah, it's almost been a decade. Yeah, it had been a decade since they had a win, and they won't have another win for almost another decade. So for them, that's what they got and they got what they needed, and then they come out with Resurrection, and it kills the franchise until Rob Zombie comes along and makes Rob Zombie's Halloween. And then going into my number 2 is the one that the requel that brings back Michael Myers to the big screen, the movie that made me fall back in love with Halloween. Where is my review for it? Did I not write a review for Halloween? I definitely have. 2018. It's 2018 Halloween, which I think is one of the greatest requels of all time. A movie that I absolutely adore. Where's my review of this movie? There it is. I said this film is one of the best horror sequels ever. It brings gore and scares. I love getting to rewatch this film every time and to make sure to wish everyone a happy Halloween. This film is the best film to watch around Halloween season if you're not going to watch the original film. And I stick by that. It does everything the first film does, but just a little bit not as good. Because I think the first film is almost a perfect horror film. And I think because a lot of people don't watch the first one because it's an older film, and you get a lot of those people, especially non-film people, who are like, "Oh, it's an old movie. I don't want to watch an old movie." So I think this is a good movie for those kind of people because it does a great job of mixing the style of the original Halloween, with the Rob Zombie style if you're more into the gore, and a little bit of the '90s style. It does a really great job of mixing all of the eras of Halloween and putting it all together into this really beautiful version of it. And James Jude Courtney, as I said, he does a great job playing Michael. He plays a great job of the shape. Nick Castle does stand-in shots as Michael, which is really cool for this franchise. Having Jamie Lee Curtis come back, the writing so crisp in this first movie. The scares work, the gore works. It all just comes together so well in this movie. I remember sitting in the theater in 2018. I was 17 years old. I went with my best friend Matt, and me and him went, and the power went out, and I mean, my heart was beating out of my chest and I was so scared. And I used to have a picture on my phone of when Michael first puts the mask back on, and it was so scary to me. And it was such a cool man. And he looks right down lens when he first does it. And it was one of my all-time. It's one of my all-time favorite theater moments because I was in a packed theater for this movie, and people were, I mean, cheering and like, but you could also hear people like, oh my god, like Michael, like people were scared, and it was so cool to see. People cheered at the end of the movie, and you saw how much it meant for people to have a great Michael Myers back and a great Halloween film. And it meant so much to me as someone who loved film and someone that was getting into like filmmaking and all of that. So I love 2018's Halloween, and I think it's one of the greatest horror sequels of all time. And I've stood by that, and I think it's an amazing film. I gave it 4 stars. I think I had a 4.5, and I brought it down a little bit because there's still a couple issues I have with it, some of the writing choices and decision making. Um, But all in all, I think it's a very good movie. It's probably right below a 4.5. It's probably close to 4.25. But moving in to the top spot, and I don't think anyone had a question of what was going to be the number one film in the Halloween countdown for the Halloween franchise, is Halloween 1978. I think it is a truly perfect horror filmmaking. I think this is I'm sorry, excuse me. I think that this is truly perfect horror filmmaking. This is an incredible film. It's one of my top 10 to 15 films of all time. I love every second of this film. And there's nothing changed with my rewatch, and nothing will ever change in any watching of this film. I think Jamie Lee Curtis is perfect in this film. John Carpenter's score scares me and sends a chill down my spine every time I hear it. I absolutely adore every second of this score. I adore every second of this film. I I mean, it scares me so much every time you see him standing at the bush when he's driving the car. Even though I get the whole thing about like how did Michael learn to drive a car, I think the same thing. Still terrifying when he stabs Steve, I think is his name, into the wall, the cabinet in the kitchen. I'm so scared when I go downstairs because my cabinet looks the exact same way that that cabinet does. Not that we have two on each side, but just like ours opens like that with a cabinet on top of it. That like if Michael was hiding somewhere, he could do that to me. And I still think about I am 24 years old. No man is coming in with a mask to do that to me. I love this movie. I think it is the perfect slasher movie. It is the perfect horror movie. I love 1978's Halloween. It's the best time of year. I love Halloween. I'm so happy I got to do this rewatch. I'm so thankful that you guys take the time to listen to these episodes that make me want to do these rewatches of movies that aren't very good, and it gives me the time to break these down and do all of these. And I have some really exciting news that I'm probably going to share on the actual episode with Ryan, not this one, which comes out before this episode because this was going to come out actual Halloween. So happy Halloween, everyone. Thank you so much. Go out, eat some candy, party, wear some awesome costumes. Please share your costumes with us. It's going to be, I hope we get to see everyone's costumes. Happy Halloween, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning into the Popcorn Podcast. And we'll be back next week talking about Welcome to Derry, which we are so excited to watch. And we are so, so grateful for every single one of you. Happy Halloween. And make sure that the shape is not hiding under your bed or anywhere else in your house. And make sure to stay safe and don't go to Haddonfield on Halloween.